Good evening, Hull! That is just about the most extraordinary reception I've ever had anywhere. Thank you so very much indeed. In fact, I mean, it's so overwhelming, I'm almost feeling shy. Well, not really. Do you know, I spent many, many years, and I've been to Hull many times and campaigned, I spent over a quarter of a century on a political campaign that everybody told me was a complete and utter waste of time. Nigel, you're wasting your time. Britain will never leave the European Union. But you know what? I kept on going. I kept on going year after year after year. And you know why? Because I believed in this country. I believed that the incredible sacrifices of those that went before us so that we could be a free country should be honoured. And that the best people to govern Britain were the British people themselves. That's what I fought for. That's what Brexit was. And, you know, what joy it was to stand. So the Brexit vote happens, everyone's in shock, especially in Brussels, where they're in meltdown. Boring. And they announce, boring, boring, boring. Come on, you've got to be a proper protester to get that from me. There were some outside I saw earlier. But you know what? You know what? There's more of us in here than there were of them out there, that's for certain. Anyway, so the European Parliament announced there'd be an emergency debate. I thought, well, this is quite a moment. I thought, 3 o'clock, it'll be me and Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President. You might remember the man who was rarely sober. I liked him very much because he made me realise I hadn't got a drink problem, you know. Anyway, so I think, well, I'll get in to the top of the Parliament at about 2.5 minutes to 3. It'll be full, and I can make my modest entrance in, you know. And to my surprise, Juncker was there already, standing in the well of the Parliament. And as I went down, he sort of put his arms out, and he sort of gave me a hug. They do quite a lot of that in Europe. And he whispered in my ear, "You bastard." But he didn't mean it nastily. And I was able to stand up and say, when I first came here 17.5 years ago, you all laughed at me when I said, "You're not laughing now, are you?" Well, that wasn't the end of the story because, as you know, the British establishment wouldn't accept it. The agony went on for year after year after year. We had that ghastly little pipsqueak Bercow in the Commons doing his best to disrupt it. People like our Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. Oh, and I thought Hull was a Labour area. No, you missed the point. Was a Labour area. It's going to be a Reform area. In the end, it happened, and we stood in Parliament Square on the 31st of January 2020 with 100,000 people, and I did the countdown, the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the obligatory fireworks. I mean, there's no event worth doing without fireworks, obviously. And that was it, we were out. And I thought, you know what, after all these years of struggling, of fighting the establishment, of really giving up a vast amount of my life, you know, it's now time for me to say goodbye. I've done it. I've done it. The British people are now back in charge of their own country, and I'm going to retire. And so I did. I stepped away from politics, and life was good. More time to go fishing, more time down the pub, more time with family. Spent a lot of time helping get GB News up and running and off the ground. But I just could not abide the fact that whilst we had control of our country back, it was being run by people who frankly didn't believe in the Brexit mission, who told us a total pack of lies and failed to deliver it. And I think that 2019 to 2024 Conservative government goes down perhaps as the most disappointing, the most dishonest government we've ever had in the history of our nation. And so I thought, well, Labour are going to win the election. They're bound to. But do I come back? Do I get back involved in the game? And I agonised over it because I knew that it meant getting back into politics would be everything. And that day, I was coming up on the 3rd of June from Kent into London in the car, thinking, why am I doing this? Do I need my bumps felt? And I thought, why am I doing it? And I came up with 3 words. And they've become the emblem. They've become the slogan for this party. I came back into politics because I believe in family, community, and country, and I see those things as being under threat, and we're going to fight for all of them. We're going to fight for good values. Our country has never been in graver problems internally. We are getting poorer. The average Brit is getting poorer. The cost of living is destroying the ability of many families to live reasonable lives. We are in societal decline. Crime completely out of control. Here in Hull, crime 25% higher than the national average. People scared to go out after dark. The police force, who seem to be more concerned about what we say on social media more concerned than maybe the Labour MP for Runcorn, who at 2 o'clock in the morning doesn't just strike someone in the street, but hits him 5 times on the ground. And what happens today at appeal? We're told the prison sentence is to be suspended. I guess that's because he's part of the Labour Party and part of the ruling class, and we saw it after the riots last summer. Different groups of people being treated differently. That is not what this country is all about. I will not live with 2-tier policing and 2-tier justice. Everybody must be treated the same. And this morning, we've had the immigration figures. Oh, yes. What do they tell us at every election? We're going to drastically reduce the numbers. What do we get today? Well, here's the really shocking thing. There is over 100,000 people claimed asylum in Britain last year, but only 32% of them came on boats. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? The rest have come in the back of lorries. The rest have come and overstayed their welcome. Some have come as students, and they all give a reason for claiming asylum. The boats are a massive problem, and they highlight the unfairness of what is going on in this country. I was checking in at Heathrow last week. I was off to America for a couple of days. I've got a friend over there that's doing all right. And the guy that checked me in, Indian bloke, he said, Mr. Farage, stop the boats. He said, we came here legally, we integrated, and we worked damned hard. It's not fair. It's not right. And then we get the legal immigration figures, and blow me down, nearly another 1 million people have been given permanent visas to come into Britain. Our population has increased by over 10 million in the last 20 years, and you wonder why the roads are busy. You wonder why you can't get GP appointments. You wonder why in some parts of the country, Kids age 5 are bussed 20 miles to find a primary school that's actually got room for them. And you wonder why our kids can't afford houses or get houses, or the social housing waiting list is as long as it is. The increase in population, this massive increase in population, has actually damaged the quality of life of every single one of us in this country, and both Labour and Conservative are to blame. And even the argument, oh, Nigel, don't worry, everyone that comes is coming into work, so they're contributing. We learned that the last 3 million that came in under the Conservatives from around the rest of the world, of the last 3 million, only 22% are working. The rest, you and everybody else, is paying for. This is making us poorer. It is unacceptable. It has nothing to do with race or prejudice. It has to do with plain common sense. And we will. Believe me, if we make the progress I think we can make, we will deal with it. And then there's the cost of living and jobs. Unbelievable. I met a chief executive the other day, a man that employs a lot of people. He said in 1990, my energy costs were exactly the same as America. Today, my energy costs are 6 times that of what an American factory is paying. We have closed down all of our aluminium smelting. We have closed down most of our chemical production. We have closed down virtually all of our primary steelmaking capacity, Scunthorpe just about surviving on the other side of the river. We are deindustrializing, and those well-paid jobs and those skills go off to India, go off to China. China. Sorry. Can't help it sometimes, you know. And so steel is made under lower environmental standards than here, and then the product is shipped back to us. And it's the same with gas that we need to burn to back up when the wind turbines aren't working. There's a massive gas field in Lincolnshire. Should we not produce our own steel? Should we not produce our own gas? Should we not produce our own oil? Should we not encourage new technologies and old technologies? But why don't we start to put the interests of our country and our people and start putting Britain first with absolutely everything? Now, there is so much more, of course, that needs to be done. But I'll tell you this. In some ways, we are the most realistic group of people in the country. We recognize that, frankly, the country and its values and that everything it's ever stood for is going down the tubes. We know it. And I think many of us fear that if we don't bring back decent values and decent standards and make youngsters understand that actually hard work is a good thing, that success is a good thing, that making money is a good thing, and that a country needs to have successful people to pay for all the public services that we all want. A total change of culture and thought is needed across everything in this country. The principles of right and wrong need to be retaught in schools and elsewhere. How can it be acceptable? How can it be acceptable to shoplift up to 200 quid worth of goods and not be prosecuted? It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. So there is so much that we have to do. I said on the 3rd of June, with just 4 weeks and 3 days to go until the general election, I said that what we'd do is we'd get millions of votes and we would establish a beachhead in Parliament. I don't think the press corps in the room believed me, but we did get over 4 million votes and 5 MPs elected on the 4th of July. In theory, the Conservatives are His Majesty's loyal opposition. I tell you something, our 5 MPs have made more impact than the 121 Conservative MPs ever have in their lives. We're doing it. And around the rest of the country, our poll numbers have gone up. And have a look at our membership. The one where Kemi Badenoch said I was fixing the figures. We're now 217,000 members and rising by 1,000 a day. And that is funding our activities. That is funding events like this. It's all feeding on itself. And here in Hull and East Yorkshire, in these 6 parliamentary constituencies that cover the area over which the mayoral contest will take place, in the general election, we averaged 23%. Not bad for a start. Do you know where we are now? We're on 32%, and we'd win Hull East, and we'd win other seats if the election was tomorrow. So we're making amazing progress, and you're helping us do it. But I think above all the reason is, as I said to you earlier, we're the most realistic about the mess we're in, but we're also the most optimistic because we believe that human beings, given the right leadership, will change their attitudes, will change their behaviours. And actually, we are the most optimistic political party in Britain. We believe we can make history. We believe we can prove everybody wrong. We believe we can win the next general election and turn this country around. We do. We do. I'm sure some of the media are skeptical, but let's hear. Can we win the next election, guys? Now, to do that, we've got some hurdles to jump. And the first big hurdle occurs on May the 1st, when many parts of the country will be holding county council elections. Oh, apart from the ones they've cancelled. In counties like Essex, where they feared we might win. So 5.5 million people have been denied the vote, and we're told it could even be delayed until 2028. And this is at the connivance of the Labour and Conservative parties. I believe in democracy. I believe in elections. Shame on them. But here in Hull and East Yorkshire, or the East Riding, for those of you that are more traditional, see a few nods here. You do have the first mayoral contest for this area will take place. And we know who's standing. We know the Conservatives, the Lib Dems, who've done well in Hull lately for reasons that are completely beyond me. So we know it'll be the usual list of runners and riders. But the new kids on the block are Reform. In a moment, you're going to see who our candidate is. We've kept it secret up until this moment in time. Poor old Michelle Dewberry at GB News has been getting about 500 texts a day. It's not her. It's not her. Great though she is. I love Michelle. She's wonderful, but it's not her. No, we're about to present to you a young man, Hull born and bred, very proud of who he is, of what he is, his family, his community, his country, all the things that we in Reform believe in. And I'm going to leave the stage now. I'm going to show you a video of who this candidate is. He's then going to come and see you. I promise you, this is a very special moment in British politics. This is a new departure. This is the politics of optimism, of energy. I'll leave you and be back in a few moments.
It was so incredible to represent my country at the highest level in boxing.
We've got a real chance here for British boxing of a crossover superstar. He appeals to that mainstream audience. He's already won the gold medal. He's the most successful amateur ever in British boxing, and the people at Hull are really coming out.
I've been at the highest levels of the amateurs, the highest levels of professional. One of the proudest moments in my life was coming home after the Olympics, seeing all the people that turned out for me. It's the first time ever where the country just come together as one. Everyone was friendly, everyone would stop and sing along with randomers about the Olympics and someone winning, and it was amazing. Hull's really good when they get behind their own and cheer for their own. It's a great city filled with great people. I'm proud of who I am, where I come from and what I do and what we represent. I want to be mayor of Hull because I want to represent the people in the right way. I want to do it for my family, I want to do it for the community, and I want to do it for my country and fight for the people of this city. That's what I want to do now. I want to commit my time to making this place a better place.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the son of Hull,